Here are two verses from Joel and from Proverbs, from the book of Joel. God said, I will pour out my spirit on all people. Older men and women will dream dreams, and younger people will see visions. Where there is no vision, people perish. Will you join with me in prayer? Gracious God, we ask you to open our minds and our hearts that we may sense your voice within us. Lead, guide, and direct all that is said and done. We ask in Christ's name. Amen. When I was a young boy, each summer our family attended camp meeting. Camp meeting always lasted about 2 weeks. We never stayed 2 weeks, but the few days that we were there was memorable. The campground had a huge open-air tabernacle with a sawdust floor. There were hundreds, literally hundreds of old park benches that sat in the tabernacle that served as pews. The walls were screens with 10 awnings that would prop open in the nice weather or close when there was cold or rain. In my mind's eye, I can still see the front of that rustic tabernacle. Nailed to the wall just above the pulpit was John 3:16. For God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son, that whosoever believeth in him should not perish, but have everlasting life. On the right side of the pulpit was the Great Commission. Go into all the world and preach the gospel to every nation. And as though there was some significance in balance on the left side were the two verses that I just read to you from Joel and Proverbs. God said, I will pour out my spirit on all people. Older men and women will dream dreams, and younger people will see visions. For where there is no vision, people perish. Joel 2:28 was apparently well known by the early followers of Jesus because on the day of Pentecost, Peter explained the coming of the Spirit by quoting from Joel. You may remember the phrase from Acts 2. God said, I will pour out my Spirit on all people. Your sons and daughters will be given insight and boldness to proclaim God's message to their generation. And older people will dream dreams, and younger leaders will see new visions. Now think of it. Peter included in his sermon on the day of Pentecost, the day that we call the birthday of the church, he included a fundamental spiritual characteristic of the intergenerational quality of the church. There is a role, friends. There is a responsibility for old and young alike. We need dreams just as we need dreamers. We need vision just as we need visionaries. We need wisdom and insight and boldness in proclaiming God's message to a new generation. But remember, there was another verse on the wall of that tabernacle. Without vision, people perish. I have wondered for years why the collectors of wisdom literature included this particular phrase that needed to be handed down from generation to generation. when we consider the context of the verse, certainly we would agree that the children of Israel were oppressed. Living was difficult for them. They had very little hope. And yet by faith, they hung on to every ray of hope. Because you see, with hope, tomorrow just might be better than both today and yesterday. It was hope that kept them motivated to move forward and search for the promised land. Without hope, the children of Israel would have perished. They would have died from a lack of hope. For the wisdom writers, vision and hope were inseparable. Some of you know the writer or the CEO, Max Dupree. He was the former CEO of the Herman Miller Clock Company. He wrote a book a few years ago called Leading Without Power. This is a quote that I love from the chapter titled Vision. People without vision constantly struggle to find hope. Organizations without vision remain mere organizations. They survive, but they do not thrive. A vision is a dream that catches fire within an organization. Only with vision can we begin to see things as they might be. At the conclusion of last week's worship, several of our astute retired pastors came to me with similar messages. They said, "We feel like you've been laying a foundation for something. When are you going to connect the dots?" Here's my attempt to connect the dots. And hopefully, connecting the dots will create an outline not only for where we have been over the past year, but where we're going as the people of faith related to First United Methodist Church. I am now in my 4th year of serving as pastor of this historic congregation. From the day that I arrived, the phrase that I have heard more frequently than any other phrase is, "We need a vision." Fortunately, I'm experienced enough to know that a pastor's vision of ministry cannot and must not be imposed on any congregation. Elsewise, when that pastor leaves or retires or dies, God forbid, the vision disintegrates. While the church is of God, God also has extended an invitation for us all to be in a co-creative relationship with God, with each other, and with the community that we are called to serve. A vibrant and fruitful congregation cannot, and I underscore that, cannot exist without the Holy Spirit that calls us, equips us, and empowers us for ministry. And so within the first 6 months of our being here, a vision team was named. They were empowered to create a vision for First Church. After 15 months of studying, listening, doing research, and considering a multitude of options, the vision team began sorting through and formulating a vision, and then they tested it with members of the congregation. Over 250 people participated in feedback sessions that ultimately produced a rolling 3-year strategic plan. That plan was approved last fall by our church conference. It is our plan. It's based on 6 critical success factors that are outlined on the right-hand side of your bulletin. I ask you to take that bulletin and follow me as I move through these 6 different critical success factors. And if you're so inclined, take notes, because we're going to go quickly. And you need to understand what we've done and where we're going. You see, based on the history of our church, the current needs and desires of the people that we are currently serving, as well as the imagined needs and desires of the community with whom we are yet to serve, we do believe that we must be successful in these following 6 categories. We need to be successful in worship, evangelism and hospitality, faith development, congregational care, community outreach and mission, and resource development, or if you prefer, administration that assures the successes of all the ministries. We developed a plan. We have been working that plan for a year now. And I believe it's important for you to have an update. The dashboard has been created so that the leadership team, as well as various administrative and ministry teams, can monitor our progress. This is the dashboard. It would be available to you upon your request. I'm highlighting from this document. First, the worship life of our church. We have historically been very strong in worship at First United Methodist Church. We believe that the worship of God is the lifeblood of our congregation. From September through May, we have 2 distinctive Sunday morning worship experiences. The 8:15 service, which is held in the upper room, is where there is a more intimate feeling. Communion is served weekly. Music tends to be a little less formal, yet with basically the same message that is delivered Sunday after Sunday. Worship at 10:45 in the sanctuary is eclectic, with a more classical style of worship. I believe that the energy in the sanctuary has been, for the most part, outstanding this past year. The energy, even during the summertime, has been outstanding. It is contagious. When people are here, they want to come back. Music, liturgy, and preaching are well planned, I believe, are relevant. We strive to be intergenerational and participatory. Yet we still have work to do. We still need to explore the use of multimedia, theater, dance, and even offering other styles of worship in other venues. But basically, we believe the worship life of our church is healthy and growing. Number 2, the ministries of hospitality, invitation, and engagement have been given lots of attention and time this past year. We are adding ushers and greeters along with training them to be intentionally welcome. We have long been a congregation that is committed to being fully inclusive and diverse, but we want to continue to grow in that commitment. Our social media presence is expanding nearly monthly. In the last 8 months, here's a stat for you to write down. In the last 8 months, nearly 20,000 guests have visited our website, representing close to 9,500 different people. Facebook participation has increased by 15%, and people who are viewing regularly our sermons and worship and online stories about ways that people are engaged in ministry are bringing them back to our church. There is a gift identification tool online to help folks to identify their gift and how they can get involved in various ministries of the church. Please go to that website and get involved. We're looking at possibilities of online Bible studies. We are looking for better ways to developing our marketing strategies for guest speakers, musicians, and concert series. Number 3, our faith development ministries are also expanding significantly. Sunday morning class participation has increased by 36%, largely as a result of a dedicated Sunday school hour. Our overall discipleship participation has increased over the past year by 9%. The growth in our children's ministry is visible every Sunday morning. We had 17 confirmands who joined on Pentecost Sunday, and the various work projects for our youth and young adults have been both successful and fruitful. You see in the insert in the bulletin this morning that our fall class offerings for adults are extraordinary. We still have goals that are unfulfilled. Namely, we want to develop better in leadership development, and we want to at least have 30% of our congregation engaged in discipleship ministry. Number 4, in the ministry of congregational care, with the combined efforts of staff and Stephen ministers and 6 new congregational care assistants and the Caring Connection, we exceed, get it, 10,000 contacts annually. Visitation, listening, and prayer are vital ministries of this congregation. We continue to recruit and educate caregivers who can assist in the ministry of care to the hospitalized, the homebound, the chronically ill, those who are grieving, or those who are struggling with a variety of life situations. Yet we want to better up our funeral ministry, as well as being more significant in helping people locate appropriate faith-based support groups. Number 5, in the ministries of outreach and mission, what we currently do through our work program with the Heartside Neighbors, as well as the long-standing partnership we've had with the MLK Academy, is nothing less than extraordinary and miraculous. 6 of our members have been engaged in the launching of, as well as the weekly volunteering with Circles of Grand Rapids, which is a pathway for people to work out poverty. There are an additional 8 people who volunteer in that program on a quarterly basis. Approximately $235,000 of our annual church budget goes to mission and outreach. In 2015, this congregation gave an additional $52,300 to local, national, and international mission ministries over and above what's in the budget. And so far, in 2016, our special mission giving is up by 5%, and the coffee can offerings are up 19%. Still, we have goals. We have objectives to get all of our people involved in some form of mission or outreach, even if it's to pray for them. And number 6, I could spend a long, long time on the administrative efforts that are being made through the work of our personnel team, the finance team, the Board of Trustees, and our legacy ministry, or the Ministry of Special Giving, Planned Giving. The Staff Parish Relations Committee has been working diligently on updating staff policies and procedures, updating position descriptions, setting goals and objectives for our personnel, doing the work of evaluation and celebration, as well as process for performance improvement plans. The finance team oversees and manages an annual budget of nearly $1.5 million. They regularly challenge our constituency to be faithful stewards, moving toward tithing or giving 10% of our income. We also want to encourage people to think about tithing of their time and their talents, not just their money. Our legacy ministry has been retooled this past year, and already they have loaded on our website a tool that will help educate and give people greater understanding in giving over and above tithing. You will hear more about that important ministry. The Board of Trustees has been attentive to doing important research about future needs of our congregation as it relates to our building's accessibility, having adequate restrooms, planning for better facilities for our children's nurseries and children's ministries, as well as looking carefully at our lack of adequate parking. Now, much of that study has been initiated as a result of the GRCC Child Care Center scheduled to move out of our facilities after being with us for 42 years. They will be vacating our building as of January of 2017. What that means is we have an opportunity. The Board of Trustees has been diligent in doing their work. They have given great time and attention to an excellent preliminary plan. But they believe it's time to establish a building committee to begin the work of planning in earnest for our future. And I want to say one last word. In September, there is a group of people who have volunteered to begin the work of study and working to recommend to our congregation a more thorough game plan of ministry with the LGBTQ community. My friends, as quick as that overview is, I want you to know and hear clearly. First United Methodist Church is a vibrant community of faith that is on the move. Vision is emerging on the basis of dreams of the past while living in the present and planning for our future. I think the proverb is true. Without vision, people perish. Yet I've wondered if there just might be a new proverb for us that could be framed a little more positive. With vision. With vision. People live, thrive, and grow. My friends, we have life. We are a vibrant congregation as together we continue to follow the leadership of the Spirit that is guiding us. Thanks be to God. Thank you for being with us in this time of worship. We trust that God has spoken to you at whatever point you have needed God's care and kindness. We are part of a congregation. Together we are stronger than we are individually. what I rehearsed for you this morning about our congregation, the culture of our congregation. There are hundreds, thousands of congregations across our land that wish for the kind of vitality that we have. I was a superintendent. I watched throughout our state in United Methodism. There are not very many First United Methodist churches. There are, by name only. But there are very few that have the kind of vitality that we have. But it takes work, friends. It takes intentional work to keep that moving. God has given this opportunity to us to do something significant. This time and this place, we are called to be here doing God's work. So go with grace into this day, and may you serve God.